oftentimes we don't realize in this work until we're stuck in the quicksand that we've not paid enough attention to our own well-being, right? I think it's a classic trap of being a care provider, right? To be a helper, to be a fixer, all those things to serve others. And not that that's a bad thing, but I love when I first entered this world of psychedelic research and conversations and having a chance to meet people who had been in this space for decades, right? They were sort of the luminaries in the space. And I heard one of them one time say, you cannot take someone, walk with them any further than you have gone. As a master's level student doing, first time ever, my own psychotherapy work and realizing what my blind spots were. Now, I don't think in that short semester I learned all of my blind spots, but there were a few that were, pretty apparent. But I think we do this. It's easier to take care of other people. Vision is 20/20 when we are, well, that may be an exaggeration, but it's easier to see it in someone else than it is to really turn inward. So question becomes, how do we do this? I think really two things. We do our own work, whatever that is. We see that now. That question is often asked in most educational settings. How do you feel about clinicians who are in training having their own experience? Well, I think it's critical. But in certain settings, certainly different laws and regulations for Canada than there are for the United States. And you know how I feel about that. Canada is leading the way. You guys you're our North Star. Literally, we are following what you do and what you're doing. But we don't always have the freedom to do that. We've got to do it in a way that protects our license, right? But again, it's very difficult to understand a non-ordinary state of consciousness if you've not ever been in that space. So I think that's critical. The other thing that I think is equally as important is creating your own sense of community, right? Whether that is a group of colleagues, a group of friends, being on a listserv that maybe speaks only to a specific psychedelic, and maybe you're a member of 3 or 4 listservs that are addressing 3 or 4 different psychedelics. But having that immediate access to clinicians who have been around longer than we may have been, right? To have a safe, protected space to be able to say, hey, I need a case consultation because I'm in over my head. I'm not sure what to do with this. So not to work in isolation. Think about it. Outside of clinical work, how is that any different than what we would tell our friends or our family members? Like, don't be so isolated. It's not good for the soul, right? Be connected. Find your tribe. And when you find your tribe, love them hard. Right? Listen to them. Stay connected. I think it's reasonable to expect that we will all make mistakes. There will certainly be variations in the degree of the mistake, but to think that we're going to step into something that we don't, as a newbie, as a beginner, or even 5 years down the road, 10, again, I don't think time in some ways is protective, but it doesn't mean that, my guess is luminaries could make a mistake. It's part of being human, right? And there are many variables that contribute to the mistakes. And I think it's like when we first start out being a psychotherapist or any type of healthcare professional, mistakes are inevitable. And it's, think about the advice we give, maybe not advice, but the set and setting we create, that when something difficult comes up, we lean into it with curiosity, openness, create spaciousness to be able to interact with whatever's being conveyed to us, rather than running from it. So when we make a mistake, if we run from it, it's going to just be like a bear that chases us down. Realizing that's part of being human, It happens to everyone, whether we admit it or not.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity to learn how to do it differently.